everybody, CW here. Let's start a new project. Those keys out of my pocket. I don't need them in my pocket. So here's my thinking. Generally that gets me in trouble, so just kind of humor me. This is my 782 Marlin 22 mag. It's always been an okay shooter, never been a great shooter. I want to play with that and see what we can do. So what I've got on here to start is we'll talk about and start playing with some barrel harmonics. It's not threaded, and I'm not going to get it threaded. Cost of threading is just prohibitive, especially with these older guns. So we're going to leave that and play with the de-resonator. I was thinking of the name of it. I want to pull this out of the stock, and I want to take a look at how this stock looks. If I remember correctly, and we're going to know immediately, if I remember correctly, there's some shifting slop going around. I'm pretty sure, this is a double folded piece of paper, I'm pretty sure that this was floated. Yeah. Back to about there, which is about right, 2 inches in front of the lug. And I don't know what this has got in it, but it's got something in there. Probably it's like the 882, it's got a stud that goes down in the barrel, in the wood. But let's pull it apart and see. First I want to throw my collimator on here and record the setting of this scope, and then pull the scope off so it's out of the way. Just get it out of the way. I have two optics headed in. One is a Monstrum Hornet. I read Hawk. And one is a Athlon Argos BTR. That is probably, it's gonna go on the Precision, Ruger Precision. It's gonna go in this mount, so everything is here is waiting for that. So I'm thinking maybe I'll put that Hornet over here. But let's start, look and see what we got for bedding. Let's take a look at this trigger spring. I never played with this trigger. There's a hack you can change out the trigger spring, like a big pen spring, and get the trigger down nice. So let's look at that. Let's look and see what we got in the bedding here, and see what we can do. Stand by. Okay, so she's all apart, all torn down, and it's just as I thought. And here's the action, and it moves around, and it's not solid. It moves around a lot. There's only one screw holding it, and it's right there, so it's allowing for lots of movement everywhere, so it needs some attention. That's probably the biggest reason it's not a great shooter. You look inside here, and you can see this is all shiny, shiny, shiny. This is dull. The reason this is shiny, shiny is because that's where it's compressed and that's where it's sitting. The only other point that it could be sitting on is back here in the back. And you can see there's a couple of scuffs. So, first thing I'm going to do is, seeing as I've got the pillars now, and you can see here that this is badly compressed. We're going to measure this, we're going to drill this, and we're going to pillar this. I've got the good big pillars, That's going to eliminate this as a bedding problem once and for all. Look at that compression in the wood. I mean, look at that. That's why pillar bedding works so good. It stops all that compression. All right, so that's that. There's not a lot that can be done back here with anything. A little bit of a burr there, but this, oh, look at here. Okay, how can that be any kind of consistent, accurate? The lug falls right out in the dovetail. Falls right out in the dovetail. Talk about loose. I mean, there's nothing there holding it. That's it. That's what's attached to the gun. So that needs to be addressed. Wow. So I think I'm going to resort to the old gunsmith's trick. A prick punch on the back of this here to raise up some metal, and then see if we can dress that at all. There's probably not much to be done there, but I'm going to try. I don't really want to resort to welding that, but I guess I could solder it. It shouldn't ever get hot enough that solder would melt. It's just a 22, and that would hold it pretty rigid. But let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do before that. So this fit here is not awful. I mean, it's tighter than the dovetail. It's tighter than the dovetail. I can just side to side I've got movement, but front and back there's virtually none. We'll measure that, and this should be the same 5/16 that the other one was. That's all cut away clear, but there's some going to be contact back here, so maybe I can bed back here a little bit too. But right now I'm going to worry about just here. So we're going to start by pillar bedding the stock right here, which means drilling this out to this diameter, measuring the pillar depth, and then epoxying that all together. That'll allow for some good compression, good torque on the action screw, and that combined with some bedding, I can get some of that wiggle out of here, and maybe this looks like it falls right there. I don't know, we'll see. All right, I'm just kind of talking, thinking out loud. But there we go, let's start on this. All right, that part was pretty easy. I literally did just that. I put a bunch of pin pricks on the back top of this, and then it tightened it right up. I had to drive it in with a hammer and a punch. So it's in there solid now. So that part is done. And I just measured, and we need 8/10. So let's cut a pillar. It's kind of scary first time you do it, but after you do it a couple times, no big deal. All right, this goes back in here. That goes in there. And all that depth is taken up by our pillar. So let's put that in and see what it looks like. Stand by. All right, so I pressed it in. Now I'm just going to squeeze it, apply some pressure, and actually just bang on it. And And what that's going to do is it's going to force it to its level. It's actually allowing the pillar to come out because of the pressure I'm putting on the barrel like this. Because I did cut the pillar a little bit long, but not bad. Not bad. And there's our pillar in the stock. All I've got to do is dress that off for length. I'll mark it, I'll dress it off for length, and then come back and drive the pillar out, scarify it, you know, put grooves and stuff in it for the epoxy to bite, cover it in epoxy and put it back in, and then let it dry. And then it's going to be good to go. And I made a new screw while I was at it. I wasn't convinced that that other screw was engaging enough. It looked to me as if it was only getting a couple of threads, because it only sticks up a couple of threads above that. And we've got a good 3/8 of an inch of threads there. So I'm pretty sure that a longer bolt, although not really necessary, isn't going to hurt a thing. So let's try that. And there it is, all glued in. Just got to let it dry and reassemble, and then we'll glass bed. In the meantime, let's take a look at that trigger. Okay. I had to file off the peened overhead, filed that off, drove the pin out, changed the spring, put it back together, peened it back over. We now have a 1.5 pound trigger. I think it was 27 ounces. So 1.75 pounds. Much better. It was about 3 or 4 pounds. Should have shown you, but I didn't. And here we go. It's all dry. It's all done. Much better. No more worries of compression. You can see I've got a couple of threads in there. I kept that hole pretty tight. I probably could have opened it up just a little bit, but it's not hurting anything. So I'm just going to show you here now. We got our action set down in the stock. Now this screw is timed for length. Drop it right in. There it's engaged. There it started to thread. It's going almost to the bottom of that cup in there. I really want to zoom you in close because I want you to see. Okay, right there. Now I'm just turning with my fingertips. That's stopped, okay? This is why we pillar bed. Now I'm going to watch this. Now, let's see if I can ID this somehow for you guys to tell. All right, maybe these little burbs here that keep popping off. Just watch how far they turn. I'm going to turn out here. Watch. That's it. That's it. That's as far as that turns. So how far did that go? It went that far. 1/4 of a turn. Dead stop. So 0 compression. The only compression that's in this action to this stock is what I allowed it to be by sizing the pillar to be 10 thousandths or so. 5 or 10 thousandths from touching. So that's how much I'm allowing this action to compress into the wood. And it's really just tightening up, you know, everything, pulling it down into the bedding. And our bedding is good and solid. We've got some movement here at the tip because it's free floated, but that's what we want. Everything is solid all the way back. Our trigger pull. Let's do a trigger pull. I didn't do one before. Am I going to get this all on screen? Hold on, let me get a snap cap. It's right on there. And we'll just load it right from the magazine. Just because we can. And there we go. Our snap cap in there. Let's turn our scale on. And let's see what we get for a weight here. I want to pick up a trigger shoe for this too. 21.2 ounces. Wow, that one was 11.3. $26.5 ounces. Yeah, 8.1. It all depends on where I put that lever. This thing is not very consistent at all. 26. So as long as I'm, in the meat of that trigger, I got about 25 ounces, which is under 2 pounds. 32 ounces would be 2 pounds. There we go. We are waiting for the scope. I believe we're going to put a Monstrum. I'm just feeling that these two pins are pulled through. This one's not. It means I don't have this torqued down quite as much as I could. Monstrum Hornet. We're going to put on here. I hope these rings are high enough. These are West Hunter high rings, and they're pretty neat. They got two studs on them each side. And I can see that one's not pulled through. So I'll snug that up a little bit, see what I get. And there we go. So we'll bring this back. We're going to go out on the range. We'll get the scope mounted off screen for you guys. Get out on the range and see what we can do. But we really should see a good improvement because we found some serious problems. Mainly that stud that was moving around in the barrel. There's no way you can get good accuracy with that moving around. And then all the movement in this stock. And the poor compression, the poor bedding. It all should be much better now. But we'll see. Here we go. Stay tuned. CW out.